Knowledge for Men, episode 111.
Welcome to knowledgeformen.com, where you're going to grow into the man you want to be. Your life will never be the same again. I can guarantee it.
The father of personal development, Jim Rohn, said it best. You are the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with. And so I've created a mastermind community called the Lion's Den around this idea that if you are surrounded by high-performing people and you have consistent education and training, then you will succeed in life and as a man. Check out kfmlion.com to learn how the Lion's Den can take your life, relationships, and business to the next level. Again, that's kfmlion.com. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Max Nachamkin, a personal development coach and founder of datingforentrepreneurs.com. All right, Max, happy to have you on the show.
Andrew, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here, and I'm really excited for this.
Absolutely. It's been some time in the making here trying to get you on the show. So you're here. Let's do it. Let's roll right in with a favorite success quote of yours or a saying that you've lived by and why.
Totally. That's a good question, Andrew. And one of my friends, Jeffrey Platts, he put this on his Facebook not too long ago, and I really resonate with this in terms of what I coach men and how I live my life. And the quote goes like this. There are no experts, just people who have been winging it for longer than you have. And I think this is a really good quote because it shows that, at least when I was starting my business or when I was working on myself with dating, I'd see all these guys who were super successful, and I'd be like, man, I want to be like them. Or I'd have role models that I'd read online, and I think a lot of people listening to this podcast are like, oh, I listened to this guy, I listened to Andrew Farabee, I listened to all the people on this podcast, and be like, I just want to be them, or I don't have things that they have. And this quote basically says, like, yeah, you do. Like, they don't have everything together. And from an internet standpoint, we always see someone's best high quality traits, or we see work, like hours and hours of content put into a podcast, but I don't see anything on the back end. And at the end of the day, like, we're all just winging it. We're all just trying our best. We, a lot of the times, have no idea what we're doing, or we're just trying to figure it out. And from a success standpoint, just realizing that, oh, wow, these are people just like me, and I can do exactly what they've done is a really awesome mindset to have throughout life, and has really helped me as well.
The first thing that comes to mind is just like, you're absolutely right. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but certainly in my case, I am winging it. I'm not going to lie. I'm learning as I go, and I'm correcting my actions as I go along. But, it's all just like one big journey, one huge learning opportunity. And it's really exciting to grow this thing. So that quote alone kind of gives us a little framework of who you are and what you're about. But before we dive into like what you're working on now with dating stuff with entrepreneurs, like, I want to know how you got there. Let's backtrack a little bit here and share with us how you got started with all this.
Yeah, sure. So growing up, I was a complete nerd, and I'm still a complete nerd. But
you got style now.
But I get it. So it's totally cool. Yeah, I think I picked up like my first like programming book in the 5th grade. So meanwhile, kids are just having fun on the playground. I'm like, I just want to program and make websites, and so I continued to do this in my spare time. And by the time I got to high school, I was a master at this stuff. I started my own web design company. I was doing this for fun. I was in like the advanced programming classes. And of course, because of this, I didn't really go out a lot. I didn't really have much of a social life. I played a little bit of sports, played some lacrosse. But other than that, I didn't really feel like I fit in. And I had a lot of social anxiety at the time, simply because I didn't really work on my social skills. And so by the time I got to college, it was like my senior year in high school, and I was going into college, and I was like, man, I just really want to get this shit handled. And I came across some pickup stuff, and basically what that told me is like, hey, wow, I can actually get better at this. And I had like all the entrepreneur stuff down. I started my first company. It was cool to really go forward with that, and I had a really good time with the web design. But I really wanted to develop myself socially. So going into college, I made a conscious effort to really work on myself socially. And I remember college, I like took this limoncello, this drink that I had from Italy, and I took it down to a girls' floor and just started knocking on doors, asking if people would drink with me. And that was a good start to college. And I broke out of my shell over 4 years and really started to pick up a lot of personal development books, a lot of leadership books, a lot more about entrepreneurship, and of course, more about dating. Then during my last year in college, I started this website, Inner Gladiator, which was just a way for me to put down all my thoughts on a paper. I saw some people blogging, and I'm like, man, these guys have something good going on, but it's not as good as as my own opinion, of course. I had stuff that I wanted to share that hadn't been out there before, or at least I hadn't seen it out there. So I started writing. I started this website just as a personal development website, and guys started coming to me asking questions. Naturally, that just turned me into a coach, and I came across the whole life coaching industry. And at the time, I was like, "What the fuck is life coaching? Like, I don't need a coach, or this is kind of stupid. Like, who am I to tell anyone how to live their life?" And of course, that's not exactly what coaches do, right? They just help us bring out our fullest potential. They don't tell us how to do things. They just question us and challenge us and push us to go further. And as I continued to grow this website, I started moving more into the relationships and dating area simply because I liked it the most. And I felt like that's where the industry needed help the most. And these guys needed help the most, especially given how a lot of the pickup stuff that was out there at the time was just geared towards manipulation, or at least it came off that way, right? And there were some bad things to the industry. But yeah, guys started coming to me, and I started coaching these guys in terms of dating coaching and helping them trust themselves and develop confidence and develop intuition and develop this charisma that they have. So now, over the last year, I've realized that all of my best clients, all my favorite clients, all the guys who really saw a lot of changes and who were also hella fun to work with were entrepreneurs. And these guys were just motivated. They were go-getters. They had the self-esteem to understand the concepts that I wanted to teach, and were able to apply everything right away. So now I'm a dating coach for entrepreneurs, and I run the website datingforentrepreneurs.com or maxnachamkin.com. And yeah, everything is going great, and I'm really excited to be doing what I'm doing. I get to talk about the absolute most favorite things in the world. I love how people connect, especially romantically. And I get to help guys in the process. And there's no better feeling than having a guy come back to me and be like, "Dude, guess what just happened? I'm in love," or "Everything's going really well with this girl," or "I just feel completely trusting myself and my life is that much better."
The story of Max Nachamkin. All right, so what were some of the things you did to remove that social anxiety and really break through those barriers and just let your personality really come through?
Totally. I was in so much pain from going out and feeling like a complete outsider, or feeling like I didn't fit in, that I had so much pain that I really wanted to change. And it's really cool because now looking back, I'm realizing how, as people, our greatest pains become our greatest gifts, right? Like if you look at any coaches, any dating, they struggled with dating the most, or people who are health coaches struggled with their health the most. And so the first thing I did was really made a decision. And luckily, I had the internet to realize that it was possible. And so I just started going out. I started applying some things by basically just talking to people and continually questioning my own beliefs and whether they were true or not. And one thing I've realized now, especially now, as an entrepreneur, and as I dive more into myself, more spiritually, and just looking at my own belief structure, I've come to realize that the beliefs that we have aren't necessarily true. It's more important to go after beliefs, or develop beliefs that are practical. Like saying, "I don't belong." Is that a belief that's true? Not necessarily. And so the first step for me was to really see that my beliefs weren't helping me whatsoever. And the second step was to get help. And I think a lot of guys have a problem, or they have a challenge asking for help. I know I did, because it makes it seem like we're weak, right? Study successful people, and the more I become more successful and grounded and confident in myself, is because the more I ask for help on things that I don't know how to do. And it's not saying, when we ask for help, it's not saying I'm a complete failure. It's just saying, "Hey, this is where I'm at, and I'd like to get better at it." And as soon as a guy can accept where he's at, and he can ask for help on how to get better, then his entire life will change. As soon as I got my own relationship coach, my relationship skyrocketed. And even as a coach, it's important for me to have a coach as well. So continually asking for help and getting support from someone who can challenge you, push you, and provide you with the right insight and the right support. It's a good balance of support and challenging. And for a lot of guys, that could mean going to internet forums, it could mean hiring a coach, or it could mean surrounding themselves with really awesome friends. Like I have all my friends are so supportive and challenging at the same time. So I get that a lot. And that's for anything, for guys with social anxiety or for business or whatever it happens to be. That's definitely the secret formula.
Yeah. I've always said the greatest life hack I can offer anyone is simply by changing who you surround yourself with. That famous quote, which is what so much of this community is built off of, is "You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with," by Jim Rohn. And that's just true for your health, your business, your relationships, everything. It's your whole life. So now, looking back at what you just said, what were some of those long-held beliefs that were holding you back that you had to question and finally break through?
Totally. The ones that came the most were pretty ingrained, and I have no idea where they come from, but just growing up or whatever it happens to be, trauma or being picked on and shit like that, being bullied. But one was like not feeling like I was worthy of love. I'm not worthy of love, and because I grew up these social skills, and I just had all these nerdy talents like creating websites and being into business and uh, I mean, I was the epitome. Wow, I can't even speak right. Of nerd, right? Like I was really skinny. I had no fashion sense, which is just a skill, by the way. I didn't work out. I didn't really eat healthy. I went to like Rubik's cube like competitions. It was the epitome of nerdy. Yeah, it's a fun fact about me. I can solve a Rubik's cube still in under 45 seconds, which is pretty cool. But that's as nerdy as I get. But yeah, the underlying belief was that I'm not worthy of love. And of course, if my mind just believes this subconsciously, then I'm going to self-sabotage. So one process that I use to really uncover this limiting belief is it's called the Four Questions by Byron Katie. She has this worksheet. The book. It's called The Work, or at least that's what she calls her personal development process. And basically, it's a process of asking questions to really figure out if this belief is helping us. So the questions are: is the belief true? Is it absolutely true? Can you know for a fact that's absolutely true? Who are you, or who am I when I believe this thought, and who would I be without this thought? So, right. So I go through the process with this, and it's like, I'm not worthy of love. Is it true? No. Right. Can I know for a fact that it's absolutely true? No, not at all. I grew up a person just like everyone else. I'm inherently worthy of all the love in the world. Who am I when I believe this thought? Oh, well, I feel small. I feel like I don't belong. I feel like I can't give love to other people. I feel really needy. I'd be understanding if people didn't like me because it's just a reflection of themselves, and so on and so forth, right? And really going into these beliefs further and further, and it's a consistent basis, right? It's not like I go through that worksheet one time and it's gone. It's like seeing how this belief is showing up in my life, and if you ask yourself the question, what boxes do you need to check to be worthy of love? You don't need to check anything. You're already worthy of love. So just that process alone, and seeing how what I see in people is a reflection of myself. What beliefs that I have, what kind of actions happen in my life are just a reflection of the beliefs that I hold. And so going through that process with all those limiting beliefs that I have, like I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy of love, or I'm a nerd and that sucks, whatever that happens to be, I've come to realize that those beliefs aren't true. They're just not true, and we think shit all the time that's not true. So it's definitely been a journey, but in terms of the first step again to getting rid of that, or to solving that, or to developing more positive beliefs, is to really accept where you're at and to go deep into those beliefs and see what's really troubling you.
Yeah, wow. I could see that being really liberating for guys to kind of question and challenge these long held beliefs and to really discover that we created these beliefs ourselves.
Yeah, they're just created in our mind, for sure.
And to break through those, that's got to be a really freeing experience. So that's incredible work you're doing. Now, with the dating coach for entrepreneurs, let's talk about that now. Like, what are some common challenges that you've experienced with working with entrepreneurs that they face, and what can these guys do to overcome those challenges?
Totally. Good question. So entrepreneurs are a very specific breed of people, right? They're very motivated. This podcast is motivated to become their best self, do really great things in the world. And that's exactly what entrepreneurs are. They're go-getters. They want to create amazing things in the world. They want to become really healthy, wealthy. They want to have great relationships. They don't want to settle, right? So I've noticed that with relationships, the biggest sticking point for entrepreneurs is that they're busy. And so what these entrepreneurs do is they're like, well, I'm busy during the week. I'm going to work 12 hours, and I don't really want someone who's going to hassle me. I want someone who's really low maintenance. And I've gone out to, like, they'll say this, like, I go out to the bars, but I never really meet anyone in the long run. And I just don't like meeting drunk people, and I've tried online dating, but every time I go on a date, it's like with someone that's kind of doesn't understand my entrepreneurial lifestyle. Someone who might need to work on a weekend, or someone who wants to work on the weekend, and they want someone who feels like they can support that, rather than say, oh, why won't you hang out with me? Why will you work on your business? So the number one thing that I tell these entrepreneurs is stop doing things that aren't working, right? It's kind of like marketing, right? You want to test different things and see what works. with entrepreneurs, what I found is that online dating, so like a lot of entrepreneurs will be able to, they'll try Tinder or they'll go to bars and maybe they'll go on a date or two, but these people that they go on a date with, their partners, they won't have a value match. And that value match is being really driven, being really motivated, being a go-getter, if you will. A lot of the people that go to bars or that go on OkCupid or on Tinder, they'll be like, man, I don't really like my job, or I don't really feel motivated.
Yeah, just kind of like flowing through society, not really, aiming for too much, but just kind of there.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of people have those phases, right? But when it comes down to it, and of course there are exceptions, right? I know plenty of entrepreneurs who have met people online, but the majority of the time it just doesn't work because they don't understand the entrepreneurial lifestyle. So the best thing for an entrepreneur to do in terms of their relationships is to meet their partner through friends. And this brings up a whole separate set of challenges. And, especially for women entrepreneurs and male entrepreneurs, they don't want to bring out their sexuality for fear that they're going to off-put people they hang around a lot, right? Like, doesn't want to hit on a girlfriend because it's like, oh, if he hits on her and things go bad, and then they're going to hang out and then it's going to be awkward, right? And then that's a whole separate conversation that we have coaching. But the best thing is to develop a really fucking awesome social life that brings in people that do share the same values, the people that are motivated, the people that do value relationships, the people that like to have fun, go on adventures and travel. And I found like that's what all the entrepreneurs who are really happy in their relationships have in common, is they've all created really amazing social circles and met their women through there.
All right, so now what are some things that guys can do to start really building up their social life and to build that social circle that's gonna, have these attractive girls inside of it?
Yeah. The first thing is to make time for it. A lot of entrepreneurs say, I'm too busy with my work. And it's actually found that, working 16-hour days for 7 days a week is just, and eventually we're going to burn out. I know this because I've done it. I have friends that have done it. And then there's the guys who, think that the 4-hour work week means you're going to work 4 hours a week and be completely happy when you're starting a business. That's not necessarily true either, but it's all about finding time to develop a social life. And a great way to do that is to, one, get out of the house, and two, throw a recurring event. This is the best way to form a social circle. Is I remember when I moved to Boulder, Colorado, there was this community, this entrepreneurial community, and what they did, and this is a phenomenal idea. We do this a lot now, is to form a dinner party every week. So like, let's say every Wednesday night there is dinner at your house, right? And maybe you invite a couple friends, maybe it's just a couple of your guy friends, like, hey, let's call it a family dinner, right? And entrepreneurs know that all their entrepreneur friends are almost like family, right? Because they're going through the same struggles, the same challenges, they support each other. So let's say you call it a family dinner, you get 3 of your friends together and you have an awesome dinner, right? Everyone brings their own meal or you cook, whatever. Then the next week you do the same thing. You say, hey, let's do the family dinner again, same time. This time, bring a friend, and then you keep doing this. You keep doing this every single week, and then in a month or two, you probably have like 30 people coming to your house for family dinner. And of course, you're gonna meet awesome friends. You're gonna meet awesome new friends, and you're gonna meet a lot of cool girls too, because they're already friends of friends. Meaning that chances are that you'll get along with them. If your friends are friends with them, then you'll probably be friends with them too, just by how people interact with each other. And you are who you're the average of the 5 people you spend time with. So that's the best way to form a social circle, is just do a recurring event. I know Tim Ferriss does this too. He talked about that and how it's a great way to see all your friends every week, especially when you're a busy person.
Yeah, and fun things like that, like dinner, barbecues, movie nights, pool parties, game nights, whatever it is. And this can really just be like the meeting place too. It doesn't have to be the whole night is just in the dining room, right? You can meet here and then go out. And then what's cool is, I've done things similar like this, and then it just multiplies because people just keep showing up and they stop asking if they can come because they just know that it's a recurring event. Every Sunday we're doing this at this time, you're invited, bring your friends. And ultimately that's just when you reach star status.
Yeah. And then, people will be like, wow, have you heard of Andrew's barbecue? Like, it is fucking awesome. You have to go. Everyone goes every week. You have to meet him. And then this puts you in a position that it makes it very easy to meet the women that you want, rather than go out to the bars and try to talk to some girl who's maybe tipsy and you have no idea anything about her and you have to develop this rapport. When you have people come to your house, there already is that rapport. You already have this common connections. and it makes it that much easier to date someone.
Right, right. Yeah, and there's something different about the way a girl acts when she's at a bar or a club. She doesn't know you. She doesn't owe you any type of respect. But if she's at your friend's house, or even better yet, your house, if you talk to her, I mean, she's going to respond positively to you because it's your place. It's like these are your friends. It's like you're hosting the party. And so the social dynamics shift into your favor and you start receiving more positive outcomes.
Totally. And for entrepreneurs who are really busy, that's going to be the 80-20 of their dating life, right? Just simply put, throw a dinner party or throw a recurring event rather than try to go out to the bars and pick up a girl who you have no idea about. And it's going to be a lot harder. And that's a skill in itself, like learning how to build rapport with a complete stranger who's not even open to it in the first place, right? It's like, why even do that when the chances of her being a fit for you in the long run are pretty slim anyways? Just meet through friends of friends. It's much, much easier. It takes way less time. There's a positive feedback way quicker. And it's way more fun. It's way more fun to create an event with all of your friends every week. It's so much fun. I look forward to it every single week.
Yeah, and even if you all meet at a house, you can still go out as a group. So you're not just confined to movie night, and that's all everyone does. It's like you guys can have your movie, have dinner, and then you guys can go out and really just be that mobile party. And the energy that you provide from that group is just going to radiate out, and it's going to attract more people into your group when you go out. So it's just overall a really fun time.
Yeah, and it's like going out with like 10 of it's like, imagine you roll into a club with 20 of your best friends, guys and girls, like you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, so now these are the pros of creating a social circle. Now, everything's obviously not perfect. So what are the challenges and cons of this social circle?
No, that's a great question. And the biggest thing with that is that it might take some time. And for guys who don't have much of a social circle, it's like a snowball, right? It first starts off really, really small, and you might invite a friend or two to dinner, or you may not have people that you normally hang out with, and you invite them out and they're like, no, I'm busy. So you might have to, eat dinner by yourself the first time, especially if you're moving to a new city or you're just starting from scratch with your social life. But then if you do it every single week and you keep inviting people out, eventually one person comes, two people come, five people come, 10 people come, and then it grows exponentially and it picks up momentum, and then people hear about it. So it's really practical, and it needs to be consistent. If you just do it once and no one shows up and you get down on yourself, there's no need to be, because that's normal, right? It takes some time to be seen as that social person who is throwing fun events, but give it a month or two and things will start to pick up. So that's the biggest challenge, is just being patient. And in the meantime, go out, do your normal routine. I personally, when things don't happen for me, I just go out alone anyways, and I always have a good time.
I like that. I like that. And now let's just kind of walk through the steps here. Let's say I'm throwing these events and it's growing and I finally meet a girl and things are going well. Like, what's the next step here?
Yeah. So one thing that's worked really well for me is there's two trains of thought. There's like one, it's ask a girl on a date, and make it more official, or just spend more quality time with her and ramp up the sexuality. And I go for the latter. I spend a lot of time with the women that I hang out with, and I'm good friends with them, right? I love being friends with women. And there's this thing in the pickup community, and I don't know if it's taught or it's just kind of implied, but like, women are either they want to have sex with you or they don't, and they're not worth talking to if they don't. And I think that's a completely unhelpful way to look at things. And I think the belief behind that is like, oh, guys don't want to get friend zoned by girls. But let me tell you, especially for the entrepreneurs or guys who are developing a friend circle, it is possible to be friends with a girl and to develop things romantically. And I think it's actually really important to have that friendship base. But basically what I do to really ramp things up is to just turn on my sexuality. That means way more flirting, inviting the girl out to different events. Hey, I'm going here. Come with. I'd love if you join me. Basically going to different things and bring her with me. And then it'll become a point where the sexual tension is so high, and it might be beyond the scope of this podcast to go into everything that goes into sexual communication. But once the tension is there, it's kind of like something's going to happen. And that's when the dating dynamic starts. Is like, oh, wow, something happened, or, we just kissed. Now let's start the dating process. Instead of starting the other way, like, hey, I'm going to ask you on a date and see if anything's there. It's important to be really, really careful about that, because again, you don't want to ruin your friend circle. And so that way it's like kind of filtering out all the women who you don't mesh with and waiting until you see chemistry, creating the opportunities for that chemistry to appear by being more sexual, by being more flirty, kind of testing the waters to see where that's at. And then once things start to pick up, then turn it into a dating situation. You can do the normal dating thing, dinner, activities, concerts, whatever you happen to like.
Yeah, nice progression there from kind of like creating the social interaction all the way through some of the dating stages there. And I'm glad we brought this topic up because one thing that has always caused me like a little frustration or even a bit of pain is when I see someone or even one of my friends who's doing really well in life, taking care of himself. He looks good, and he's crushing it in business. He's just like a great model of what you would want to be like, growing up. Almost you look at these guys like almost as like mentor figures, but then you see them in their relationships, and it's just like, what? Like it doesn't match. It's like they're either settling in their relationships or they're not happy in their relationships, and it's very clear. What are your thoughts on this? Guys settling, being unhappy in relationships, yet they're very like successful in life.
Yeah, I think guys just want the security of having a girl. Or I remember I used to have this narrative throughout college and just growing up that I wasn't a cool person, or if I wasn't a cool guy if I didn't have a girlfriend, right? And now that I've come to really work on myself in that area, I've just found that not to be true. And I found that a lot of relationships that guys are in are just not relationships that I personally would be in. They look unhealthy. They're fighting all the time about stupid shit. They're not going deep with each other. They're not even having amazing sex, right? They're just fighting with each other, and they're just being with each other just to say that they have someone to be with. Especially as an entrepreneur, I think it's so important not to settle, because being in a relationship with someone who you don't really vibe with, or being in a relationship with someone who doesn't help you grow, support you, and challenge you is actually going to take away your energy. And as entrepreneurs, our energy is so important, Andrew, right? Like if we're not spending time on our business, we want to spend time rejuvenating. We want to spend time having fun, getting our energy back so that the next day we can show up 110% in our business. And dating a girl who's not going to help us do that, and there's just way more work that needs to be, it's just going to take away from our business, which is just taking away from our life, because we're doing work that inspires us, motivates us, and we want to do everything in our mind and our possibility to just improve that. So in terms of settling, yeah, I think it's just guys feel like they have to, that they won't have enough options, or that they won't be able to find a girl that supports them. And the way I see it now is getting rid of the social narrative of having a girlfriend and just creating relationships based on what you actually want in the current moment. Yeah, so taking away all labels, saying, oh, she's my girlfriend, or I want a girlfriend, and just saying, this is the type of relationship that I want. I want a relationship where I do my work during the day, then I have this amazing date with this woman, we come back, and she really makes me feel awesome, and she supports me throughout my ventures, and we have great sex, and we go on adventures, and then she goes and does her own thing. Maybe she travels too, maybe she has her own business, or maybe she's working on something that she's really inspiring. And when we come together, we just really support each other and rejuvenate each other. And she understands that I have to work on my business and doesn't give me shit for it. And that's the type of relationships that when guys are crystal clear on that they get, instead of saying, I want a girlfriend, or I just want to hook up with someone, being completely clear on that will help guys not settle and say, hey, this is what I can have. And this woman told me during like a crazy psychedelic journey, she was like, Max, you can have whatever you want. And I'm like, what? She's like, you can have whatever you want. And this really stuck with me, because it's so true, Andrew. We can have whatever we want. All we have to do is ask for it. And so, if we want really awesome relationships, all we have to do is ask for it. We don't have to settle.
Yeah, settling. I think if we were to look up what settling is in the dictionary, or even a thesaurus, like words that would come up right around settling would be probably like comfortable,
yeah,
coping, or like complacent. And if you really like think about these words, settling, comfortable, coping, complacent, that's really just like the opposite of what this whole podcast is about. It's just like sitting in one spot, like not growing. And I think what guys are doing when they settle is they're really just comfortable with having regular sex, and don't want to go through the pain of breaking up, which is a horrible, depressing moment for months or even years, and then going through that pain of being single and then trying to find another girl. So that pain of settling or being comfortable just doesn't outweigh the pain of having to go through all of that. So I think that's what's like really going on there.
Yeah, totally. And in terms of like relationships, getting settling, right? It's like they've shown, or like some studies have shown that people who retire early and don't do shit with their lives actually die sooner, right? Because they're not growing. If you're not growing, you're dying, and especially in terms of relationships, that's completely true. But that's great because there's plenty of opportunity to grow, to learn more about relationships, to see how actually being in a relationship with a woman, or having a connection with her in whatever way feels good to you, actually helps your business, actually makes you a better businessman, because women are fucking awesome. And it's like, I heard this quote, it's like, men built the world, but women inspired it. That's totally true. I know when I'm surrounded by women that I love being around, I have more energy. That sexual drive comes out and translates into my business, and I feel more inspired. I feel more loving. Women are healing, man. And for entrepreneurs who are really busy and they feel like they're too busy for to have a girl in their life or to have some sort of relationship, I'd really get them to question that, because they're so awesome.
Yeah, and I was actually doing some research on like really successful, iconic figures that are alive and in history who had a supportive woman at their side. And unfortunately, these stories really aren't talked about in history, but research has shown that there was a woman who did play a critical role in their development. Guys like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And even in history, guys like Albert Einstein or Abraham Lincoln, all of these guys had, a woman at their side before they were successful, and it helped them grow and overcome a lot of the adversity that they had to come through in order to become that successful man. But now, let's dive into the knowledge round, Max. Let's dive deeper into this brain of yours. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready, Andrew.
Hold on to your chair. Do you feel stuck, alone, or like you're not getting the type of results you think you deserve? You put in all the hard work in your life, relationships, and business, but things just aren't getting any better? I've been there. That's how I started. That's where I was. I kept trying and trying to improve my life, but nothing just seemed to give. I started to think that personal development was a joke. I felt like every month I was in the same place I was the previous month. But then I found something that just worked. I grew, my business grew, my relationships flourished, and everything around me just started to click. People started respecting me more, and I finally felt like I was becoming the man I wanted to be. I created a program to help guys get the same results in their life. Check out kfmlion.com to learn how the Lion's Den can radically transform your life. Again, that's kfmlion.com.
Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime.
All right, Max, first question here. What advice would you give to someone who really doesn't know what they're doing? They're kind of lost. They haven't found their purpose yet in life.
The first thing that I would do again is to just ask for help. Reach out to someone who's a mentor, a really close friend, someone that you trust with your life, and just be like, hey, I'm going through this. It's often good to get out of our own shit and get some perspective from other people. I've also read this book lately. It's called The Values Factor by Dr. John DeMartini. And especially on purpose, this is the best book that I've ever read. And it dispels all the myths about, hey, you have to find your purpose. And if you don't find your purpose, you're failing at life. This basically goes to the myth of that and saying, hey, your life is actually demonstrating your highest purpose right now. All you have to do is figure out what that is by looking at that our purpose is actually being demonstrated by our life currently. Then we can start to align our life towards that purpose, and we'll feel a lot happier. So 2 things. 1, ask for help. As always, you can always email me, or I'm sure, Andrew, you love getting emails as well, or, a friend that you really trust, and check out that book. It's called The Values Factor, or The Value Factor by Dr. John DeMartini. Awesome book.
And guys listening, The Values Factor is on Audible, so you can get it for free right now. If you go to kfmbook.com, that's kfmbook.com, you can get that book for free. That's via Audible, which is an Amazon audiobook company. And the next question I have for you, again, on books here, Max, what are your 3 most influential books and why?
Yeah. So if I go back in time to a lot of the books that have been really influential, number one, this is actually still on my bookshelf. I'm in my room doing this interview, and I can look over at my bookshelf. Number one is The Emperor's Handbook by Marcus Aurelius, otherwise known as Meditations. This dude was an absolute genius. I'm pretty sure he started personal development. He's the emperor emperor of Rome, and yet he's writing about being a good person and making the most out of his life. And it's just his personal journal and reflections on that. It's really cool. It's like I would compare it to the Bible for non-religious people. I don't consider myself religious, but this is like a Bible to me. It's really good. I can just open up any page and I'll find truth, something that he says, and how it relates to my life. So that's number one, The Emperor's Handbook by Marcus Aurelius. Another one that I'm reading actually right this moment that I highly recommend and has really showed me a lot of habits of successful people is Give and Take, and that's by Adam Grant. Yeah, Adam Grant. It's a book about how people who are givers instead of takers, people who add value to other people's lives, and that are able to ask for help in return are often the most successful people. And it's a really great model of seeing how social interactions work and why we're attracted to certain people and why we're not attracted to certain people, whether that be, romantically or not, or just, through friends or networking in terms of business. Really great book, Give and Take by Adam Grant. And I'm going to mention a book about sex because I love sex, and this is a new model of looking at sex for guys, and that's The Multi-Orgasmic Man by Montauk Chia. And it just talks about our sexual energy and how we can transmute this sexual energy into our life through business and through feeling better and through showing up in our relationships. I'm sure. Have you ever read Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know there's a chapter by Napoleon Hill about sexual transmutation, but it's very short. It's basically just like, oh, use your urge to have sex to go into your business. But this book actually gives practices, like all really awesome sexual practices on how to do that. And it also teaches you how to have multiple orgasms. As a guy, it's pretty awesome. So definitely check that out. Yeah.
Nice. Interesting books there. And again, guys, kfmbook.com. If you want to pick up one of these books in audio format, that's kfmbook.com. And Max, I know you're really good with like connecting with like high level people. So, I just want to really quickly get some insight on so what's your strategy on like how to get and keep mentors?
There's this one strategy that I have whenever I want to reach out to someone that I really want to talk to, and that is I create a video for them. I think I do that with you like last year. I feel like I
Yeah, you did. I was impressed.
Yeah, no one gets it. So basically, what I did for you guys listening is I created an unlisted YouTube video, and I listed this, yo Andrew, and I basically sent him an email. I'm like, hey man, I'm sure you get plenty of emails, so I decided to make you a video instead. It's unlisted. Here you go. Talk soon, Max. And then in this video, I was just like, hey Andrew, I saw you on the Fastlane forum just when you started your company, and we were doing really similar things, and I wanted to reach out. I can't remember, it was so long ago, but what I do now is I just offer some sort of value. I'm like, hey, I looked at your website. Here's how you can fix this, or like, here's a new tool that you can use to increase your marketing, or whatever it happens to be. I always just add as much value as possible, as in give away all of my best secrets. And then I say, hey man, would love to connect, or I'd love to interview. Let me know if you're interested. Either way, I love what you're doing and have a great day. Later. And just by creating this personalized video for someone is just not seen. I do this for everyone now. People are like, whoa, like a video? Like, I can't believe someone did that for me, just like you said. And I've used that countless amount of times, and I get a response every single time. So that's a great way to develop a relationship. In terms of a mentor relationship, that just happens naturally to me. I don't ask people to be mentors anymore. I found it didn't work. And the people who had won as mentors are busy, but it eventually just turns into that relationship where I'm asking for help and I get support.
Yeah, really cool insight on mentors. And now, Max, what was holding you back from becoming the man you are now today?
The biggest thing was not accepting where I was. So if I think about all these beliefs I have, like for instance, starting Inner Gladiator, I was like, oh, I'm not good enough to teach these guys anything. That was totally holding me back from, it's like I'm not good enough to be a teacher or to talk about what I want to talk about. Because if I believed, and I did for a long time, that I wasn't good enough to share this stuff, then none of my material would be out there. None of these guys would be getting the help that they really wanted. And as soon as I saw that what's obvious for me isn't necessarily obvious for the entire world, that it becomes my duty to share that information and to really help the world. And that in itself has been completely eye-opening. I started my blog. I started connecting with other bloggers. I moved out to Boulder, Colorado, because I met of the people that I met through Intergladiator. I met all of my best friends, and now I just hang out with awesome entrepreneurs who I absolutely love, who support me, who challenge me, who I have a hell of a lot of fun with. And now if I have a problem, or a challenge rather, I can just ask. And it is, surrounding myself with those high level players that I met through owning my own knowledge and through owning my own strengths and really showing that off to the world was a complete game changer. 100%. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be in Boulder running my own company. I'd probably hate my life in a consulting gig for some big company that tried to boss me around. And I'm so grateful that I decided to just push past my fears and go for it anyways.
Yeah, that's what it's about. I like that. And now, Max, imagine you had 60 seconds with your 20-year-old self. What would you tell him not to do, and what would you tell him to do?
I would tell him to go surround himself with people who he wanted to become. I've heard that. I heard that so many times, Andrew. I grew up reading all these personal development books, but I never internalized it. You are the 5 average people you spend the most time with. And I would put that as the most important thing. I would shake myself until I started hanging out with the people who I was really, really inspired by. And I had a lot of fun. I guess I was in college at the time. I had a lot of fun in college. I partied a lot. I did some stuff with my web design company for, just to have fun. But overall, I was just working on my social self. And what that looked like is a lot of partying. And I'd say, hey, man, all right, cool. You got this partying stuff down. Start creating, start your blog, start sharing your ideas, and don't worry about being perfect. Just go out there and start. So that's what I tell myself. And I tell myself to stop doing. Was that the other part of the question?
Yeah, stop doing or not do.
Yeah. Looking back, I'd stop wasting my time on college courses that I absolutely did not gain any value from. I was going to college at the time, going for a business degree, and now that of course I'm running my own business, I'm realizing how little of it actually translates. I took all these entrepreneurship courses that were all about business plans, and unless you're doing venture capital where you actually need to write a business plan for an investor, it's completely useless. So I would say stop wasting my time doing stuff that I didn't enjoy and start hanging around people that really inspired me. And that would have changed my life direction a lot sooner.
Yeah, good stuff there. And before the call, Max, you told me that you just went to Burning Man and you had some major epiphanies there. So can you share some of the biggest lessons you learned at Burning Man?
Yeah, first things first, Burning Man is the best place on earth. I've been to so many music festivals all over the world, whether that be in Thailand or Barcelona or all over the US. I can't even call it a festival. It is just unbelievable. It's imagine all of your best friends who are completely open and loving and fun as shit, and then add 70,000 people, add the craziest music, add the craziest art, and you have yourself a city that you live in for a week and have the best time ever. But basically the way I can describe the vibe there is I'm actually wearing this necklace that one of my friends gave me at Burning Man. He made one for everyone in our camp, and it's basically what this represents to me is how at Burning Man, well, let me go back for a second. When we go out, when a lot of guys go out, especially let's say they want to get better with women, they'll go to the bars and they'll see a woman and they'll think that this person is completely separate from themselves. Where they'll be like, oh, this woman, she's in her body. That means she's a different person, and I'm in my body. That means I'm a different person, and the space between us is what separates us, right? The mindset at Burning Man isn't that the space between us is what separates us. It's what connects us. So I'm going to say it again. The space between us isn't what separates us. It connects us. My friend Mike Slavin actually told that to me, but it really resonated with me at Burning Man because everyone saw that when they met someone else, it's like they're already friends. There's no defense. There are no walls that people put up because they're afraid to be themselves. The space there is everyone is allowed to be themselves, and everyone's not judging them. Everyone's just doing themselves, sharing their gifts, wearing whatever they want, saying whatever they want, expressing whatever they want. And so it's such a good reminder for me, and it's so important. I think I teach this to a lot of my clients now. What if we saw the world as everyone that we came into contact with was our friend already, and that we didn't have to make friends with them, that we already did love them, that we didn't have to fall in love with them, that we are just sharing this experience called life together. And, it just so happens that we're sharing the same space. We already have this connection. I don't need a reason to go talk to you. Right. And that's such a powerful belief to hold. And during the whole week, it just opened up so many amazing opportunities for me just to adopt that, just by being like, wow, there's a person over there, and I don't have to feel afraid of going to say hi because I already know them. Even though, I may not know them, but like the mindset is we're already friends. Like, let's just get to know each other, and it's totally cool.
I really like I'm just going to quote you, the space between us is what connects us. I really like that. And I think, when you apply that to dating, which is what we've been talking about throughout this episode, it really makes the approach, quote unquote, when you have to approach a woman, it makes it feel like you're already together. And it feels like the rapport's already been established because I exist, not because I have to do something to make this happen.
Yeah, it goes back to like adopt a belief that's actually helpful, right? And saying like, oh, I have to go approach this girl. I hate the word approach because it implies that you're separate, that you have to go up to her and like prove your worth, or like in the pickup world, it's like demonstrate higher value or whatever that happens to be. I haven't followed pickup stuff in a while, but it's like, oh, I just have to say hi because we're already friends, and I actually don't know you yet, but we should know each other because we're sharing the same space. We're connected. You're not some stranger. You're here. Like I am different from seeing you, and you are different from seeing me and interacting with me. And that is such a game changer to just understand that, hey, we're all here for the same reason. Like let's have fucking fun.
So I guess this will just kill all the pickup lines.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not against pickup lines. I think they're hilarious when they're coming from the wrong, when they're just coming from the right place of like joking around. Like I'll be at a bar, and I'll be talking to this girl next to me, and then I'll be like, oh, wait a second, like, so do you come here often? And it's like this like fake flirting that I do. That I get a kick out of. I think women like that too, and I just make fun of flirting. It's great.
All right, Max. And what's the future look like for you? Like, what are you working on now? What are you really excited for?
What's so exciting for me at this current moment is learning more about relating. So, and what I mean by relating is relating with women outside of the current model of relationships. So, growing up, I used to think that, oh, the word boyfriend, girlfriend means the same thing. Like, you don't hook up with other people, you don't talk to other guys. I had some relationships where I was insanely jealous, and I followed what was assumed of relationships, and what relationships are supposed to be from mass media, or from my parents, or from my friends, or whatever it happened to be. But I'm just so excited exploring, what if I wanted a relationship any way that I wanted it to. And at Burning Man too, like, this was huge. I saw married couples hooking up with other married couples. I saw married couples not hooking up with married couples. I saw single people hooking up with a lot of people. I saw threesomes. I saw foursomes. I saw a lot of sexual experiences, or a lot of relating between couples, that were completely counterintuitive. And what that looks like for me, and what's really inspiring for me, is saying, wow, I can really create any type of relationship that I want if I just get rid of expectations on what they should be, or what they have to be, or what people want them to be. We can literally have whatever we want. So now I'm in a phase where, and this might change, right? If you're publishing this 4 or 5 weeks later, this might change by the time people hear this. But I'm in a phase where I'm just exploring what it means to not have any expectations, and to just make relationships based on what feels natural with that particular woman. Sometimes that means spending more time and just having sex, or sometimes that means having really deep conversations and not having more of a sexual element, but releasing any type of what should happen, and really just enjoying the moment with the women in my life. And trying new things, right? I've been like in the polyamory community for a while here in the last 6 months, and that's been really interesting. Being with different women who are in love with other men, or having multiple women in love with me. It's just like, it's insanely crazy, but it's really interesting. So I'm exploring that, and that's really fun for me.
All right, man. Boulder it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I think it goes on everywhere. There's like big circles, like in California. Are you still in San Diego?
Yeah, San Diego.
Yeah, there's a big polyamory community in San Diego, and yeah, it's just so interesting. I used to think that was like weird, or for like people who were just, yeah, fucking weird. But now I'm like, actually, like, there's some things in that community that have a lot of grounding in reality for me. And just saying like, hey, what if we just followed our own desires and got rid of any stories that the mass media told us about how relationships should work? It's awesome.
Yeah, really interesting stuff there. And where do you see dating for entrepreneurs going, this new business you have?
I'm really excited to start working with more entrepreneurs. So I'm coming out with some products very shortly, or maybe they've already launched at this point. But I'm really just more excited to meet more entrepreneurs who want the help with their relationships. And the great thing about working with entrepreneurs is I feel so great working with them because I'm inspired myself. And I think there's like a lot of coaches who feel like they have to be completely better than the people that they work with, or that they don't get anything from the relationship with the guys that they work with. It's kind of like a teacher student mentality. For me, I see ourselves as both teachers, but I really like working with entrepreneurs because I learn a lot and they see amazing results with their relationships very, very quickly. So I'm really excited to just work with more and to grow the business and see where that goes, and just learn more about relationships and sex and my own sexuality and whatever that looks like. But yeah, if you're an entrepreneur looking to up your dating life, or to improve your social life, or your sexual interactions, or whatever it happens to be, definitely shoot me a message and we should talk.
All right, Max, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your story and lessons with my community here. So it's been an honor having you here. Had some really good conversation. Look forward to having you on again in the future.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for having me on here. It was a great time, and hope to see you in Boulder or San Diego sometime soon.
All right, absolutely. And that's going to wrap up episode 111 with Max Nachamkin.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast show. It's been a pleasure having you be a part of a thriving community of men who want to crush it in all aspects of life. I'm on a mission here to inspire millions of guys, and with your help, we're going to make a dent in the universe. Check out knowledgeformen.com for a ton of free content that's designed to help you live a remarkable life. Again, that's knowledgeformen.com. I hope to see you there. And always remember, 2014 is the official year of the crush, where we take action to get the life we've always dreamed of. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, and until next time, let's do it.